Let's take a look now at some potential Cowboys first-round targets. We're looking at only guys that took their official 30 visits. These are the guys the Cowboys are most likely to take in round 1 of the NFL Draft. First up is James Daniels, the guard from Iowa. Now, he played center at Iowa, but he can definitely play guard, did it at Iowa. I think that's what the Cowboys are looking at him as. A great athlete, not the strongest, not the best size, but can definitely get to the second level and have success on the offensive line there. He strikes me as more of a worst-case scenario. You know, we missed out on all of our top defensive guys. We want a lineman. Let's take James Daniels there. Next up is Connor Williams. Kind of an asterisk by this one. He was a Dallas Day guy, but he did come in for a visit, so we're including him to kind of round out the offensive line numbers, but I think he's definitely one of the least likely options there. He was a left tackle at Texas, but short arms. He could move inside to guard. That, I think, would be his spot for the Cowboys. I think he can be a left tackle, though. I wouldn't mind this one, but I don't think the Cowboys are super interested in him, but he is the guy we wanted to include on this list. Another offensive lineman here, one of 4, Mike McGlinchey. I think he is best as a right tackle. A lot of experience on both sides of the line at right and left tackle, but I have concerns about him holding up against speed. You put him at right tackle, I think he has a lot of success. He'd be a great fit for the Cowboys at that right tackle spot. Would also require as well here the Cowboys to move McGlinchey or move Collins inside to guard if that's the route they ended up going there. And then one more offensive lineman, Kolton Miller. I'm not really a huge fan of his. He's probably my least favorite of the 4 guys on this list, at least among the offensive linemen. He's a big guy, moves pretty well for his size, but he's still just kind of raw as a blocker. I would not be a big fan of this selection. So to recap, your 4 offensive linemen that make sense based on the official pre-draft visits: James Daniels, Connor Williams, Kolton Miller, and Mike McGlinchey. So I want to know from you guys, which offensive lineman would you rather draft? Give me a heart for Daniels, a like for McGlinchey, a laughy face for Kolton Miller, and a wow face for Connor Williams. I would go with Mike McGlinchey of those 4 guys. I think that he's not the best tackle, that's Connor Williams, but for the fit for the Cowboys, I think McGlinchey makes the most sense. Maybe not at 19, maybe you try and trade down a little bit, but I think the Cowboys looking at offensive line early and often here. Maybe they take a look at McGlinchey at around 19, maybe trade down just a little bit if he's still on the board, if those linemen don't go early. Let's get now to some defensive line players. Harold Landry, he's an edge. He'd be a defensive end for the Cowboys. Great production in 2016, was limited by injuries in 2017. That was a big concern for Landry, but I think based on the 2016 tape, he's probably a top 15 guy at least. The Cowboys, though, didn't take TJ Watt, a similar player as Harold Landry. Why would they want to take Landry after passing on Watt in favor of Taco Charlton? Plus, I think there are bigger needs than edge rusher. Defensive linemen in terms of interior guys are up next here. Vita Vea, my boy, I love him, a top 10 guy for me this year. If he's on the board, sprint to the podium, get him in as the one technique. It's going to make life much easier on your linebackers because Vita Vea, who can play all 3 downs, by the way, can definitely clog up some blockers, open things up for James Smith and Sean Lee. Plus, get your linebacker later on in the NFL draft. Taven Bryan is a different player than Vita Vea and Deron Payne, who we're going to get to. He is a 3 technique. He's disruptive and a great athlete, but he's raw and needs to work on its actual production. It wasn't there for Florida. Hasn't quite figured out the mindset in terms of actual skill set of being a defensive tackle, but the upside and the projection is there for Bryan. And then one more defensive lineman, Deron Payne here. I think he's best as a run stuffer. Don't let those sacks and tackle for loss numbers fool you, though. He can disrupt the pocket. He can be more than just a run stuffer. That's why Dallas has interest in him. I would be okay with this selection. It's not the route I would go. I would much prefer Vita Vea, but if Payne's on the board, I would consider it for the Cowboys in round 1 at number 19 overall. So to recap those 4 guys, Harold Landry, my boy Vita Vea, Taven Bryan, and Deron Payne. Same question for you guys. Which defensive lineman would you rather draft? Do you want Landry, Vea, Bryan, or Payne? See those votes up there. Get them flowing in. I'm spamming the like button. Give me Vita Vea. Folks, today's show is brought to you by The Guild. Visit stayguild.com for 15% off your next stay if you use promo code ChatSports, kind of a luxury Airbnb. We're going to group receivers and linebackers now in this next little collection here. Calvin Ridley up first. He's older than you want, but he's pro-ready and can get open. He'd be a great fit with Dak Prescott if he's on the board. The other receiver the Cowboys have brought in for a pre-draft visit, they looked at several other guys at the combine and in interviews and workouts and whatnot, is DJ Moore. He gets open. I think his good quickness and thrives after the catch was a big surprise at the NFL Combine, built very similarly to Sammy Watkins. The big knock on him, he gets bodied too much up the sideline. That's going to be an issue in the NFL. 2 linebackers then. We start with Rashaan Evans. The Cowboys have shown a lot of interest in Alabama players. Evans is among them. I think he's a classic Bama linebacker, going to make an impact immediately, but doesn't quite have the athletic upside as other guys, including Leighton Vander Esch, who is almost off the charts as an athletic linebacker. A freak, has great size, great speed, still raw, doesn't always do the best job of taking on blockers, just kind of gets stonewalled more than a guy of his size and speed should, but he is definitely in the mix at number 19 overall. If I had to pick one guy I thought was the most likely to be taken by the Cowboys at number 19, I think I would go with Leighton Vander Esch, even though it's not the guy I wanted to take the most. That's still Vita Vea. To recap those 4 guys then, Calvin Ridley, DJ Moore, Rashaan Evans, and Leighton Vander Esch as well. Again, folks, let me know who you want the Cowboys to pick in the first round. Keep those comments flowing. I'll respond to several of them throughout the show. Also, we're going to do another mailbag, so get your questions in the comments for this upcoming mailbag, probably on Thursday, or hit me up on Twitter at WhatGoingDowney. I took you through those 12 guys there we just went through. I'm going to be doing a little bracket-style poll vote with 16 players. I'm expanding it just a little bit to make the bracket balance out among who you guys want the Cowboys to take in round 1. So follow me on Twitter at WhatGoingDowney for more of those tweets, and send me any questions you've got as well.